Hi, folks. This is Don Meisner with the North Country Fishing Report. You know, I talk a lot about line, but I think now that it's ice fishing time, we can revisit some of the conversations we've had about line and why we choose one line over another. And, you know, again, back when I was a kid, all I had was monofilament. And it probably wasn't near as good monofilament as what exists today. It's what we had. We didn't think there was anything else. Well, then they came up with fluorocarbon. It's not nylon. It's made of different polymers. It has completely different characteristics. But why is this important? Number one, I think it's really important for us to understand what we're getting when we buy these different type of lines. If we want monofilament, that's fine. And there's certain advantages to monofilament that to some of us might seem a disadvantage. Number one, it stretches. We've talked about why as it stretches, the longer you cast, the less chance you got of setting the hook because that line stretches all the way back to the reel. However, if it stretches, and let's say that fluorocarbon doesn't stretch the same, is when you're ice fishing, you want, and you're fishing for crappies or something with a soft mouth. If you have a lure and they hit that, and let's say you're using fluorocarbon, then maybe when you set the hook, it won't have enough give and it'll pull the hook out of the mouth. It'll tear it right through the mouth. So the fact that monofilament stretches might be an advantage in some cases. Here's the other thing. Monofilament floats. So it gives you the flexibility of either using some kind of lure or offering that you want up higher in the water column, or you could put a sinker on and then your monofilament can go down deep and you can fish deep. Now let's look at some of the advantages of fluorocarbon. And I think those advantages are really extreme. Number one, it's far less visible to the fish under the water. So if those fish are very wary, if you're using fluorocarbon as a leader, then they might be less likely to think they're hitting something fake. Second of all, fluorocarbon does very, very good in really cold waters. So that's another thing that really makes it, I think, an advantage over other types of lines. You know, we think of knot strength. Well, actually, the knot strength of monofilament and fluorocarbon are pretty similar, but it depends on the type of knots that you tie. And there's certain knots that work better in monofilament than they do in fluorocarbon, and vice versa. There's certain knots that work really well in fluorocarbon. We'll go into that another time. But here's another really big deal about fluorocarbon that I think makes it a top choice for any leader material that you're going to use in it. It makes it a top choice for me almost all the time. And that is that it's far less abrasion. Well, it has far more abrasion resistance than any other type of line. You know, and you notice I haven't been talking about braided line. Braided line is something that I use all the time, but I don't want that to be attached directly to my lure because, number one, the fish see it. Number two, it really, really is easily abraded. And so most of the water conditions that we're fishing have things in them that are going to cause the line to break if it rubs against it. And so fluorocarbon becomes a top choice. Fluorocarbon is a lot more expensive, but you get what you pay for. So whether you're ice fishing or whether you're fishing in the summertime, I think it's always going to give you the best chance if you have some kind of leader that is made out of fluorocarbon. Until next time, folks, this is Don Meisner with the North Country Fishing Report.